Welcome to the inaugural EnergyTech University Prize Competition. I'm Vanessa Chan, the Director of the Office of Technology Transitions, or OTT for short, and also the Chief Commercialization Officer of the Department of Energy. As a sponsoring office of EnergyTech Up, I can say that all of us here at OTT are humbled by the fact that we have seen a huge surge of enthusiasm from student teams, colleges and universities, incubators, and energy industry organizations. In fact, with 180 total applications from 113 schools, our inaugural cadre of teams represent 42 states, plus the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. Not too shabby for our very first one. My thanks go out to my team at OTT, to the invaluable support we received from the National Renewable Energy Lab team, our partnering regional conveners, as well as the students themselves for their hard work. My vision for the goals and outcomes of this competition are: 1, to strengthen the energy innovation community across the US and territories; 2, to identify business opportunities for young entrepreneurs; and 3, to help lay a talent pipeline that will secure our energy future. We hope you all can take this opportunity to network and get to know the work going on in your region, because collaborators across schools catalyze future partnerships. Our mission at OTT is to help shepherd technologies through the research, development, demonstration, and deployment, or RD&D continuum, to ensure they are commercialized and brought to the market. You're about to hear several inspiring, innovative ideas to do just that. This is an exciting time to be a budding entrepreneur because a clean energy transition is upon us. It will be revolutionary for our world, and we need all hands on deck to make it happen. Today, you are all on deck to play a role as you think and work towards that future. The students of today are the innovators, scientists, marketing specialists, policymakers, and entrepreneurs that we need. So with that, good luck, and may the best business plan win. But not to be too cheesy, you guys have all won by participating, because this is what we have to do to go hit our climate targets. Good luck.
So good afternoon, everyone. We're waiting to get our PowerPoint pulled up. We have a few slides as we get started with our presentation today. Fantastic. Thank you, Kristen. So good morning, good afternoon. My name is Anna Siefken. I'm the Executive Director at the Scott Institute for Energy Innovation, and we just want to welcome you to the EnergyTech Up Mid-Atlantic Showcase. This is being hosted by Carnegie Mellon University's Wilton E. Scott Institute for Energy Innovation. And as I mentioned, my name, if you'll go back one, my name is Anna Siefken. I'm the Executive Director, and I want to make sure that you see information about how to get in touch with us. So please connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can register to receive our newsletter, which comes out about once a month. So what is the Scott Institute? We are the research hub at Carnegie Mellon University that brings together energy and climate tech through sponsored research, through entrepreneurship with events like this, through programming. So we do lectures throughout the course of the year, many of them virtual. And our overarching goal is a sustainable, low carbon energy future. So I want to quickly introduce you to our judges today so that we can get right to the programming. So we have 6 judges that have joined us here today, and I'll quickly go through a bit about each of them. So Rick Stockberger is the CEO of Bright Energy Innovators, which is Ohio's only energy incubator located in Warren, Ohio, where he drives the mission and vision of Bright by actively engaging with prospective and current portfolio companies and their founders. So Rick is a decorated combat veteran serving the United States in operations on 2 continents, and he's a graduate of Kent State and Penn State universities. Next, we have Tiffany Minhorn, who leads North American development for electric utilities at Line Vision, which is a monitoring technology startup company that is setting the standard in overhead power line monitoring asset management. She works closely with the most advanced utilities in the country to guide them through the challenges of building a more dynamic transmission system. So prior to her current role, Tiffany was an innovator in a large-scale commodity and PPA space at Enel. So I know it takes a minute to go through these bios, but I want all of you, particularly those of you who are students, to see sort of the your future employers. So Lisa Sally is the founder of Heritage Solutions Group, which is a boutique strategy and commercialization firm that helps emerging firms enter, scale, and seize market growth faster than believed possible. So prior to launching Heritage, Lisa spent over 25 years in corporate America, including at GE and Underwriters Laboratories. And she's an alumna of Carnegie Mellon University and Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Next, we have Christina Nikiforova, who is an internal consultant for National Grid, which is a utility based in the Northeast and the UK, where she works on transitioning the utility to net zero. She's an associate at Blue Tree Venture Capital based in Pittsburgh, future funder. She graduated with her MBA from Carnegie Mellon, during which time she had the unique opportunity to work with energy startups at the Scott Institute. Next, we have Nadili Nunez, who is the executive director of Ascender, which is a Pittsburgh-based hub that helps entrepreneurs start and build their companies through education, mentorship, and co-working community. She also serves on the advisory boards for South by Southwest Pitch and Venture Startup Pitch, which identifies promising startups worldwide and connects with experts, talent, and investors. She's also a CMU graduate, and she was the director of the Uprise BNY Mellon Social Innovation Challenge. And last but not least, we have Jeffrey McDaniel, who is a portfolio executive focused on energy companies at Innovation Works in Pittsburgh, which is one of the most active seed stage investors in the country. He works both with hardware and software technology startups. And prior to IW, he worked in strategy and R&D at Westinghouse. So with that, I want to thank our judges for being here and setting aside time today, but I also want to thank our team. So you'll hear and see from both Kristen, who is behind the scenes, sort of driving our show today, as well as Caitlin, both of who are my colleagues at Carnegie Mellon University. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Caitlin, who's going to walk us through some rules of engagement for today. And thanks again for joining us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caitlin. I'm briefly going to go through the rules for today before we have our first presenters start. Each team is going to have 5 minutes to present. Hopefully you were able to check your sound, video, and screen share during the tech check. At 5 minutes time, I will say your 5 minutes is up. We will have 1 minute for a question from the judges, which I will read from the Q&A where they type the questions. And then there will be 1 minute for the judges to deliberate, finalize their score forms, and allow the next team to get ready to present. Teams, keep your mics muted and videos off unless you are actively presenting. This is the order of the 17 teams that are going to present today. We just want to remind you that if any of our teams do not show up, you will be bumped to the next slot. So please be waiting and listening for your team's name at any time, though we will follow this order if all of the teams are here. I'm going to bring up Solar Crusaders, team number 1. And when I see your screen come up, I will start the time. Solar Crusaders, are you available to share your screen and video? The project title for this team was Agrivoltaic Roofs Redefining Solar Farms.
Sorry to interrupt, but if you check the Q&A, it seems like they're unable to share a talk.
Okay, Elizabeth, we will be making you a panelist momentarily.
Thank you, Emma.
You're welcome.
Oh, great, thank you, Emma. Elizabeth, are you now able to share your screen?
Yes, I also have another teammate, Mancy, here with me.
I will be adding her momentarily. 1 second. She has been added. Okay, your time starts now.
Hi, my name is Manti Patel, and then joining me is Elizabeth, and our business plan redefines the term solar farm using agrivoltaic technology. Looking over Philadelphia from a bird's eye view, we see a lot of dark, unoccupied rooftops. These properties are also very clustered. The combination of all the concrete, asphalt, and lack of greenery makes Philadelphia very prone to the heat island effect. The heat island effect is when urban surfaces such as roadways and rooftops absorb and emit heat to a greater extent than most natural surfaces. This causes urban areas to be significantly warmer than outlying regions. Looking specifically at Philadelphia, urban neighborhoods are on average 14 degrees hotter than those on the periphery of the city. So there's this unmet need to cool the city.
Our mission combines a green roof and solar energy infrastructure by growing crops under raised solar panels. This is referred to as an agrivoltaic system that harnesses a mutual symbiotic relationship between solar panels and crops. The solar panels partially shade the plants from intense sunlight, and the plants cool the panels to run more efficiently. We're proposing an agrivoltaic system for residential and commercial building owners with access to a flat or low sloping roof. We've seen how innovative green spaces benefit its users, noting the Mantua Urban Peace Garden and Sierra Green. Inspired by this green ingenuity, we saw an opportunity to change these unproductive roofs and cool our city with crop vegetation in a manner that current solar panel installers don't offer. We're excited to collaborate with technical engineers, urban farmers, healthcare workers, and state officials to push the energy transition forward in urban landscapes. Next, we're going to review the surrounding costs of our service, broken into solar panels and green roof components. Out of the $18,200 the customer would be paying our business to install an agrivoltaic roof, the cost for installing solar panels would be $17,000 before the 26% federal tax credit, which is competitive with other residential rooftop businesses. Considering an average roof area and amount of sunlight in Philadelphia, customers will be generating $3,313 of solar energy that can be used to power their home or sold to the grid. As mentioned previously, the solar panels will be shading the vegetation below, reducing the demand of the building's AC system, reflected in a $300 and forced savings for an overall savings of $3,617 each year.
The cost of the green roof varies based on the roof layout, quality of materials, and desired plants. So the final price can range anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000, 10% of which would be profit. In addition to this upfront expense, there would be a $200 maintenance cost where our team would revive the garden plants after each winter. Another opportunity to save comes from the insulating effect of the vegetation, which can save customers a dollar amount of $290 a year. More savings come in the form of the produce raised because it can feed up to 12 members of the community. Overall, the customer saves $3,090 a year because of the green roof. You've heard us talk a lot about inefficient roofs, and we want to show you the big picture problems this can cause. Because of an inefficient roof, making properties warmer, property owners require more AC or heating to maintain room temperature. Not only does this increase their electric bill, but it also causes more fossil fuels to be burned to meet that energy demand, which leads to more extreme weather in the form of climate change, and the cycle reiterates indefinitely. Other pain points that plague our market is how Pennsylvania energy suppliers are heavily reliant on fossil fuels. There's also an unreliable food supply chain and lack of access to fresh produce, as well as the lack of green spaces in the communities we are targeting. While we understand the complexity of these factors, we hope that our technology can alleviate some of these pain points.
Our successes during the energy transition can be defined through economic, social, and environmental lenses. We've specified the matrix for each success to hold ourselves accountable to a high level of performance. In the coming months, we hope to refine our business plan to lower the upfront costs of our agrivoltaic roofs to make these projects a more viable option for minority and impoverished communities that are struggling, facing the deepest injustices of climate change. We believe in the great potential of our solar technology business plan and hope you see it too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Solar Crusaders. We'll wait a moment to see if we have any questions from the judges. If they do have questions, they can type them into the Q&A feature of the webinar. Okay. Solar Crusaders, why do you think this has not been done before?
Partially why I think that this hasn't been done before is, well, it is, I won't say it's being done on a utility scale. Agrivoltaics is something that they see as large crops. You're putting solar panels over large crops, and that way you can see just how scalable it is. But it's not being done currently on residential roofs. And I think that might be because just the slope of the roof, but we've seen in Philadelphia especially that there are low sloping and flat roofs that make this definitely a viable option for residential buildings and commercial buildings.
I also
Great.
think that this upfront expense for solar panels is already very costly, that people might not be looking into another option that could add more money to the cost, but the green roof returns make up for that additional cost.
Thank you very much for your answer. And now we will have 1 minute for deliberations. While that is happening, could Thermogen please prepare to share your screens? Okay, Thermogen, your 5 minutes begins now.
Hello, everybody. We're at Thermogen, a revolutionary company here to make your life easier because, as we all know, utility bills are a pain in the glass. Put simply, the problem is that general electricity consumption is increasing, and as a result, utility costs are on the rise. Obviously, no one wants this, and this disproportionately impacts lower income households more. Currently, there are two options. On the one hand, there is solar, which we all know offers electricity savings by producing energy. And on the other hand, there's the less known option of traditional smart windows, which offer heat savings by blocking radiation and allowing light to pass through. However, individually, these two options have limitations, but what if they could be implemented together?
This brings us into our product, the Thermogen Windows. So unlike available solutions, Thermogen's Windows provides an effective solution. Thermogen's Windows are not only thermochromic, but they also capture solar energy. The way it works is simple. Thermogen windows are essentially smart windows with a photovoltaic film. Therefore, they not only block sunlight, resulting in reduced heating and cooling costs, but they also generate renewable energy that can be sold back to the grid. The smart glass industry is a very promising industry with expectations to grow significantly throughout the foreseeable future. The industry encompasses many markets, and our company focuses primarily on these three main markets: existing residential homeowners, construction of commercial and residential buildings, and retrofitting non-compliant commercial buildings.
And so let's talk a little bit about how much these would cost. So we're looking at a little bit of about our windows would be about 30% more expensive than existing windows. And that's pretty good. And the reason for this is that the main price of window doesn't come from the material. The raw material of our windows would be about twice as expensive, but the majority of the cost of window comes from things like processing, transportation, installation, and fixtures. And so those aren't necessarily increased with our windows. And so as a result, we're able to offer windows that are competitively priced to other options. And so let's talk about the capabilities. As you can see, normal costs for a average house is about $50 to $525 a month. Each pane is about 0.25 kilowatts per hour per day. And as you can see, the average price of electricity is 11.21 cents per kilowatt hours. And we expect that Thermogen Windows can save about 12% on heating and cooling. And so let's talk about what that would result in the big picture. And so there's a lot of stuff going on here, but I think the really big number that you should look at is at the bottom, where we can see the total estimated saving range for an average household. As you can see, that really starts to grow as you approach 10 years or like 10, 15 years. Also, interestingly, if you want to talk about what we would define as success for our company, we would kind of think about maybe a small company that could install 30 panes a day, and maybe at 200 panes days a year. You can see how that really grows into a lot of panes over the course of 5 years. And overall, I think the big number here to look at is that 3.8 gigawatt hours. You can imagine how, even if we try to be more aggressive for our expansion, this number would really grow up, and we could definitely try and tackle more of a market. And so thank you so much. That's all we have. And we'd be happy to answer any questions. Yes.
Thank you, Thermogen. We'll wait one moment to get questions from the judges in the Q&A, and then I will ask them to you. Judges, do you have any? Oh, yes. Okay. Would you do retrofits or new buildings?
So we'll start with the retrofits and new buildings. We want to try and tackle both because with retrofits, there's the incentive, like we mentioned with buildings that are not in code, there's the incentive, but also with new buildings, a lot of people want their buildings to be more efficient. And so we think that by tackling both, we're definitely able to penetrate that market.
Yeah, and so as time carries on, we'll be looking into expanding into these markets. And this kind of just follows into track with the growth of the company overall. So we are looking to break into those sectors as well.
And to tackle on that equity and inclusion component, it is no secret that windows are expensive to replace, but eventually they need to be replaced. And so in a situation where you think of like renting, where the majority of low-income households are renting households, landlords are going to need to replace windows eventually. And if they know that they're able to kind of make their properties more attractive by doing this, or if they know that they can reduce the cost of their properties, they're going to choose our windows over normal windows. And this kind of goes into the competition of what is our competition. Our competition is kind of three main places, which first of all is normal windows, which we offer kind of energy savings. And then there's also the thermochromic windows and then solar panels. And we, as far as we know, there's no one who's doing solar thermochromic windows and energy generation in one window. And that's why we're unique.
Yeah, so like we mentioned before, our solution kind of combines the best of both worlds into something that's never really been done before. This technology is not being commercialized as yet. So it definitely is something very exciting. It's very new. And like you said, it has potential to greatly offer savings, not only in electricity savings, but also for heat as well.
Yeah, and just one more thing to touch on about that first question. So for example, if a landlord of an apartment building included these windows, those people of lower income would be burdened less by the utility added on to their rent because of these windows.
And then sorry, are we out of time? Are we good?
Are we out of time?
Any more
I think we are out of time for questions. So now we'll have 1 minute for deliberations. Thank you very much, Thermogen.
Thank you.
EnergyTech team, if you could please share your screen and your presentation, you may begin.
Okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Emma Hubbard. I'm representing EnergyTech, and I'm from the University of Maryland College Park. And today I will be discussing utilizing CO2 with nickel hydrogen batteries. So what's the big idea? The goal of this experiment is to develop rechargeable nickel hydrogen batteries that promote carbon neutrality and aid in the transition from cleaner to cleaner energy. So our whole idea is taking CO2 from carbon plants and using a specialized electrolyte that creates a carbon sink grid for grid scale batteries. So how does this work? So imagine a glass of water on a nightstand, you drink it and then you fall asleep, and the next morning you wake up and the water's stale. So what happens is CO2 from the air has dissolved into the water. And this is the same way carbonated drinks are made, but at a much higher concentration of CO2 gas from being injected into the water. This forms carbonic acid. And so what we do is we inject CO2 into potassium hydroxide, and we make potassium carbonate. And so we propose a battery that utilizes this process to create an electrolyte for nickel hydrogen batteries. So this is the chemical reaction for the electrolyte formation. And this is the nickel and hydrogen electrodes and the overall reaction. The concentration of the electrolyte doesn't change within the nickel hydrogen battery, enabling a carbon sink battery as CO2 is taken from the atmosphere, but it's not released during the life of the battery. And this is a model of the current nickel hydrogen batteries that are in the market right now using a different form of electrolyte. So renewable energy utility companies are in need of long-term storage batteries for fluctuations in generating availability. So for example, obviously the sun isn't available 24 hours a day, 365 days in a year, so they need backup batteries. And also backup batteries provide transmission and distribution congestion relief. So ensuring that too much power isn't overloading our grids and causing backups and issues with the distribution of power. And as the US plans to invest another $3.4 billion into carbon capture technology, supply of CO2 is going to go up and costs as a result are going to go down. The interconnection between these two needs are what this opportunity seeks to address, and through collaborating with municipal and state governments, we seek to find funding for projects and gain access to multiple utilities within a state or city. So we established our competitive advantage by offering a high nominal voltage. So we have a 1.55 volts per cell. So putting this together to make a 12 volt battery will require less cells than the typical lead acid battery would, or the typical nickel cadmium batteries that are currently in the market. Our specific energy is high, our energy density is high, our specific power is high, our charge-discharge efficiency is high, and not to mention our batteries last between 15 and 20 years. So these 20,000 cycles last you for a really long time. And the cost of nickel per ton is actually going to decrease. Right now is $18,000. So obviously you're not going to use a ton for an entire battery, but as the price goes down, the cost of the battery is going to go down. So the battery is totally tolerant of overcharging, and the high discharge rate is actually beneficial, and this helps with sunny days as solar farms sometimes overproduce electricity, and so when there's a full stack of batteries, they're all full, this helps with the overproduction of electricity. And it has good specific energy and a long cell life, so this is going to last you for many years. There's very low maintenance on these batteries, they're very tolerant of overcharging, and it's a good opportunity all around for utility companies. Currently, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory projects that at the lowest, a 4-hour battery system will be 87 kilowatts per hour, and at the highest will be $248 per kilowatt hour by 2050. And the current cost right now is $341 per kilowatt hour, which is a lot. The estimated cost for a nickel hydrogen battery reaches as low as $83 per kilowatt hour. And with the reduction in the high cost electrodes, as well as the ceramic separator, we can reduce this cost to $30 per kilowatt hour. So establishing the need for long-term energy storage, as well as the decreasing cost of CO2 with increased supply, they're in combination with major funding towards carbon capture and battery research, it presents us with our economic opportunity. So for our potential impact, our company embodies the theory of clean energy accessibility, and this theory describes the belief that everyone should have access to sustainable energy sources, regardless of economic status. And CIA is crucial as it optimizes the society's ability to implement sustainable policies. There's a potential for a carbon negative battery storage, and this technology has the ability to revolutionize the battery storage industry and provide the incentives to utility companies that results in a faster transition to clean energy. Currently, we're seeking research guidance at the University of Maryland, as well as a mentorship through the Maryland Energy Innovation Association. And this relationship will help us expand within the state of Maryland. So to conclude.
Okay, Emma, that's your 5 minutes, but
Okay,
thank you very much.
All right,
We'll
thank you.
now wait to get questions from the judges in the Q&A.
Okay.
Emma, what does your competition look like?
So there's nickel hydrogen batteries that are currently out on the market. There's iron air batteries, there's lead acid, and there's lithium ion batteries. So our competitive advantage is providing a cheaper option that has a longer shelf life. So we provide that incentive to utility companies to pursue renewable energy by offering long-term storage at a cheaper rate.
Excellent. And that's all the time we have for questions. We will leave 1 minute for deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now ready for TSF team to share their screen and presentation.
Good afternoon, the organizers, the jury, and the participants. My name is Philip, and I'm really excited to tell you about how my team's solar-driven business will advance in an equitable clean energy market. So let me ask you a question. Why do we not all have a PV system on our roof? Well, some of us may, given that 4% of US households have solar panels installed. However, this low percentage comes across as surprising because most solar energy is the cheapest available energy source. So let's talk about the problems that customers face. First and most important, PV systems are expensive. Although the investment itself is profitable, the high capital expenditure and the long-term commitment deters many potential adopters. Other aspects that prevent people from adopting are the perceived complexity, the risk and effort related to ownership, and the administrative burden to get subsidies and connect to the grid. And now, even more worryingly, if we look at the graph on the left side, low-income households have significantly smaller adoption rates versus the society as a whole. This leads to an unequal access to cheap energy. Our technology and business model will address these deal breakers, increase adoption rates, and reduce disparity across the society. The solar power market is a market of sustained growth, high profit margins, and low competition concentration, with the leaders taking up 20% of market share combined. However, the solar market is unequal as it underserves LMI households. Furthermore, entry barriers are considerable. The cost of capital and revenue volatility are both high. The solution we bring forward makes our market entry significantly less risky and addresses the inequality of the market. By directly marketing cheap energy, solar energy that is generated on our customers' roofs with our PV system, we will target low to moderate income households. This translates to a serviceable, obtainable market of over $200 million in the sunny states of Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, and Virginia. The technology that is central to our business is a truly plug-and-play PV system. It eradicates upfront costs for our customers and reduces cost and complexity of installations. The panels developed at Senja National Labs provide high reliability and improved performance through AC output instead of DC. The installation itself is cheap and non-invasive, meaning that the works are swift and no damage to the roof is done. The attachment solution harnesses counterbalancing weight and aerodynamic principles, ensuring stability at high wind speeds. Finally, the system clears the need for administrative tasks of the customer. We take care of arranging net metering and securing applicable government subsidies. Furthermore, all information about the green power generation and purchase can be easily accessed online by the customer. And now over to you, Tilman, for some insights on the cost and customer journey.
Thank you, Philip. Let me explain to you how we will save our customers on average $488 per year while maintaining a profit margin of above 20%. The cost for electricity in the states of interest is 12 cents per kilowatt hour, the full circle. The levelized cost per kilowatt hour for residential solar in the region is 5.7 cents. This includes all costs over the life cycle of the panels. Adding our profit margin, we can sell electricity to our customers for 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour, 35% below the market price. Moreover, by reducing complexity, installation effort, and realizing economies of scale, we are likely to further reduce our cost. Let's touch on the most important points about how we will succeed. During customer acquisition, there will be a huge sales and marketing effort to address mostly LMI households, which shall be 75% of our customer bases. During installation, we will ensure that government subsidies and the net metering is made use of. Moreover, we require a patent license for the counterbalancing ZREC to fix the panels on the roof. When generating electricity, we need to license the patent for the PV panels and ensure a stable profit margin of 20% plus. Let me summarize how the business model will significantly advance the equity of the solar market. By eliminating the capital expenditure for the customer, we will ease the financial burden of disadvantaged communities. We will, and lower the threshold for solar adoption. Energy generation will be democratized and disparity in society reduced. Finally, we will improve green energy logistics by decreasing the complexity of photovoltaics. Again, thank you, Philip, and thank you all for paying attention to this important issues. We are happy to take questions now.
Thank you. And now we will wait for questions from the judges in the Q&A. Okay, how much of the market do you think you could capture?
So this is addressed on this slide. So we're looking to capture about, so every 200th household in those states that is actually, that you can install PV panels on, like viable, that they have viable roofs. So every 200th house we are going to address, and that's adding up to about $214 million. Of revenue.
Have you tested the market need?
We've talked to a couple of friends, and Philip, you may take this question in addition.
Yeah, so in terms of the market need, I did a lot of research in the market and the competition that is available, and there's a lot of worry in the customers who, whenever they think about solar panels, especially the long-term commitment and the capital expenditure in general is a thing that really deters anyone who thinks about adopting those. So this is really the target of our solution, and we hope and we are pretty confident that it will definitely reduce the threshold for entry for our customers.
Thank you very much. And now we will have 1 minute for judge deliberations. Okay, we are ready for Flow Solutions to share their screen and video. You may begin.
Hi, everyone. We are Flow Solutions. According to Bloomberg New Energy Finance, recent adoptions of renewable energy are projected to drive a 20-fold increase in stationary storage over the next 10 years. Currently, lithium-ion batteries are most prominent due to their high energy density, making them ideal for electric vehicles and small devices like your smartphone. However, their high material costs and complicated lithium supply chain limits their use in other applications, such as large-scale stationary storage. This is where redox flow batteries excel. A redox flow battery stores energy just like lithium ion, except it uses water as its main ingredient, making it cheaper to produce in large quantities. The DOE predicts that flow batteries will capture half of the stationary energy storage market by 2030, but only if they use more cost-effective chemistries. The challenge is that it's very difficult for redox flow batteries to decrease their cost because of the research bottleneck while testing new chemistries. Let's think of this problem in a different way. Imagine you're preparing for a party this weekend. Let's say that you need a perfect cupcake recipe to serve at the party, and so you probably want to try quite a few different recipes before you pick the best one. But what if you only had a children's toy oven that baked one cupcake at a time? It might take months for you to perfect your recipe. Instead, if you had an oven which baked 100 cupcakes at a time, it might only take an afternoon, and you can share your recipe with your family and friends at the party this weekend. This is the problem facing the redox flow battery researcher. With so many different battery recipes to try and only toy ovens available for product development, it's nearly impossible for new battery chemistries to make it to the party or the market. And then what next after the perfect battery recipe is created? Just like opening a cupcake bakery, high throughput testing can also be applied to production and operation of flow battery systems. That's why we created FlowCell, the oven for 100 battery recipes. Our flow cell is a multi-channel testing system which can save testing time by scaling capability and offering smaller volume experiments. It consists of pluggable battery cartridges about the size of a smartphone, a multi-channel structure around the size of a fridge, and accompanying software to perform standard battery testing and real-time analysis. We're also excited to announce that we filed a provisional patent for the cartridge technology.
The market for flow cell consists of researchers and engineers developing redox flow battery technologies through testing, quality control, and device monitoring. Capturing half of the total accessible market will amount to $820 million split between researchers and the commercial sector. With our strong ties to universities, we will corner the niche academic flow battery testing market and then later expand to support industry testing needs. Following the rise of renewable energy, redox flow battery development will increase significantly, and our testing solution is the best position to capture on this growth. Testing multiple battery chemistries at a time makes our device 12 times more efficient than any current technology, allowing researchers to collect more data faster. This is because our competitors have a maximum testing capacity of 8, while we offer 100-channel parallel testing capability. As the only dedicated redox flow battery testing company, we designed FlowCell as the first fully integrated high throughput testing solution. We offer up to 100 channels for larger research groups, such as national labs, or as low as 25 channels for smaller groups, such as universities. Our revenue model is based on 2 primary income streams: the one-time direct sale of the FlowCell cabinet and our unique recurring revenue model for the FlowCell testing cartridges. Because our cartridges are standardized and easily customizable by researchers, this reduces our R&D and manufacturing costs and allows customers to swap out different membranes, electrode materials, and chemistries. Based on these figures and including startup costs, we project a time to profitability of 3 years. I'd like to introduce you to our Flow Solutions team. We are graduate students spanning the disciplines of material science, battery research, and computational chemistry. And our advisors up to the company are professors at the University of Pittsburgh. Our company roadmap starts with 2 big pitch competition wins through the University of Pittsburgh and a provisional patent application. We are currently in the prototyping and customer discovery phase and plan to incorporate next fall. Although Flow Solutions is an early stage startup, we are excited to mature and grow as we continue our fight against climate change. Save the world, be part of our Flow Solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Flow Solutions. Now we will wait for judge questions in the Q&A. How do you think the competition will respond to your patent?
We know that our competition does not have the cartridge that we are developing with our patent. And so I think that this will be a healthy competition between the existing software and our own, which we believe has the advantage of being especially much a smaller volume.
The second question was, did you say that the lab ends up owning the oven, but not the batteries?
The lab will own both, and we will provide the batteries to them on a recurring basis, and they will also own the testing structure. So the initial cost will be cartridges and testing structure, and then over time, about monthly, we predict, we will send them more cartridges with a recurring cost.
Thank you very much. That's the end of questions for this team. We will take 1 minute for deliberations.
Thank you.
Electromame, we are ready for you to share your screen and presentation.
Should I start?
Go ahead.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Dylan Casson. I am undergrad at George Washington University in DC, and I'm here to present to you Electromame. We install micro-hydro generators in buildings' water systems to save building owners, managers, and developers money while drastically mitigating their carbon footprints. Every day, millions of gallons of water are pumped up and down the tall buildings that dot all of our city skylines for washing hands, getting a drink of water, taking a shower, or even going to the bathroom after downing a double espresso. For water to be distributed to every unit of a tall building with adequate flow, the water is pressurized to extremely high rates using pumps in the basement of all the buildings. If this water was just siphoned off to any of the units below the top floor of the building, it would burst through the faucet, break the toilet in half, or severely injure an innocent shower. For this reason, devices are installed to decrease the pressure to safe rates, depressurizing the water through dissipating the energy into heat, essentially wasting energy, detrimental to our climate and the wallets of building owners, managers, and developers. This is where we come in. Electromame installs and maintains micro-hydro generators to be installed instead of pressure-reducing valves. Our solutions allow buildings to mitigate energy costs and profit on excess energy produced by sending it back to the grid or using it themselves. Our solutions also require less maintenance than PRVs and help governments pursue 3 immensely important national security goals: climate action, grid reliability, and equal access to energy across incomes. In the event of extreme weather or system malfunction, cities, especially their lower income areas where transmission is weak, which are often far away from where the power they consume is sourced, face blackouts, which threaten lives and bring local economies to a standstill. With clean energy being produced by buildings in the heart of urban areas, this temporary blackouts can be mitigated. We built relationships with several generator manufacturers as well as installation teams. Ultimately, we hope to manufacture our own generator customized for this use case. Our team's customer discovery has validated a section of the enormous market of building owners, managers, and developers. Due to the compounded pressures of increased environmental regulations and the national $10 trillion of building infrastructure necessitating upgrades, 80% of building managers that we interviewed are scrambling to find alternative revenue streams, especially those in multi-tenant commercial buildings facing an unprecedented number of vacancies due to COVID-19. Our customer discovery has also informed our marketing strategy by directing us exactly where in the procurement process to inject our solutions. Namely, meetings with building managers, owners, developers, and energy management firms, and utilizing the conferences and organizations which inform our customer segment. Competitors in the energy management tech field offer few profitable solutions like solar panels, as we've seen before, but they tend to be rather expensive for tall urban buildings and invasive to install. These generators already exist, they have been tested, and the installation is simple, but no other company has taken the opportunity nor built the necessary relationships with manufacturers and installers. Financing of these installations would use various upfront costs and royalty fees. Our preliminary revenue model is based on calculations from the engineering team using projects with pre-existing buildings and new developments. While the revenue projections are enormous, acknowledging the size of the market and after a successful pilot program to incentivize the solution's adoptions, the figures are realistic. We need Kickstart funding to begin our first pilot project and accelerate our sales process to make this a reality. Yoel and I are undergraduates, opening up more doors for customer discovery, which makes us useful assets. Additionally, we have a team of PhD engineering students from GW who help us with the technical side. We hope you can join our team in being able to help building owners save the planet while saving money too. Admittedly, these solutions will not change the world in the blink of an eye, but it will play a vital role in trying to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The first question is, how much will it cost to install in a typical building?
So that is, as you could tell, I did not have clear numbers on prices. That's because it really depends on the size of the building. So if you give me a number of floors or space, I'd be able to give you a better estimate. What we've seen is that from like I guess the typical range of tall multi-tenant commercial buildings in cities goes anywhere from covering 10% of energy costs all the way up to nearly 100. And then the cost of the actual installation are covered along that curve, normally within a year or half a year of installation.
The next question is, why tall buildings? Who are the key influencers versus customers, and who buys your product?
Right. So firstly, tall buildings, because it seems kind of trivial, but just because of gravity and how it requires more pressure to pump water up than it does across a horizontal axis, that's just where more energy is wasted in tons of cities, and it's also where, because of that, more energy can be utilized and turned into clean electricity. In terms of who you'd be selling it to, like the key customers, we have, as I said, identified multi-tenant commercial buildings as the key customer segment. In terms of within those buildings, who we would target, of course, the building manager, the building owner rather, is the head of the chain in terms of making the decisions, whereas building managers really kind of scout out the possible options, and we would be directly going to them to kind of market our solution.
Okay, that is the end of questions. Thank you very much. We will have 1 minute for deliberations. Okay, we are ready for Omo Toyosi Abu's team. If you could please share your screen and presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Seth Ayumanvan. I'm representing Toyosi's team and the rest of our team. We're the gasification team here at the University of Pennsylvania. So just to walk you through a quick roadmap of our presentation, I'll introduce the problem, talk about our technology, our market, and finally, who it benefits. So we're facing two main problems with our technology. First, the agricultural waste crisis, which is essentially agricultural waste right now is extremely damaging to the environment. It hurts livestock and it hurts land, which are the two main things that farmers need to generate revenue for farms, right? Of course. And then the second problem is electricity in rural America. So rural Americans spend more income on energy, which is due to two main things. First of all, rural Americans often have lower incomes than urban counterparts.
Seth,
Yes.
1 second. Do you have a PowerPoint?
Yes. Are you not able? It says I'm sharing.
We have not. We're not seeing it. So can you try to share it again, please?
Okay. Do you see it now?
All we see is a black screen.
Okay. I apologize.
Let me. If you give me 1 second, I should be able to share it from my screen. Okay, I am going to share it and we'll try to follow your pace.
All right, thank you. I apologize.
No problem. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Just to reintroduce ourselves once again, we're the gasification team at the University of Pennsylvania. And just a quick rundown of what I'm going to present to you today. First, I'm going to introduce our problem, then our technology, our market, and finally, the impact. So we're facing two main problems. The first is the agricultural waste crisis. As I already said, agricultural waste is incredibly damaging to the environment. It hurts livestock and it hurts the land, which farmers rely on in order to generate revenue. We're also dealing with the electricity crisis in rural America. So rural Americans spend more of their money on than their urban counterparts on energy, which is due to both their lower income and a larger transmission cost because energy is often delivered from a much further from much further as opposed to urban areas. Do you mind going to the next slide? One more. Sorry, one more. So what is gasification? What is our solution? We basically take agricultural waste and convert it into electricity, fuel, and building materials. How do we do this? We do this by first drying the waste, then allowing it to undergo pyrolysis, and finally combusting it and producing energy. Sorry, do you mind? Yeah, so this is a general rundown of our system. First, we feed in the waste and it generates marketable solid byproducts, which can be used as building materials, but then also further downstream also creates fuels and electric power. So our three main customer segments are for each of the three parts of our value proposition. First, waste management for farmers, electrical products for farmers and surrounding rural residents, and finally byproducts, which we can sell to fuel providers as well as construction companies. So our revenue, we primarily earn revenue through our waste management fees and the sale of electricity and byproducts. And then our costs are obviously the construction and management of the plant and the transportation of waste. So in terms of willingness to pay, the important things to note here are that farms produce 4.4 billion tons of waste annually in the US. And the average cost of electricity is about $1,700 per year. We plan to mark our cost to market for electricity minus transmission costs. So roughly about $1,700 per person annually as well. In terms of profit estimation, we estimate that with 2,000 metric tons of waste per day being delivered to a single plant, we can get net annual profits of about 1.65 million, assuming that it costs $14 million to construct a plant and about $200,000 to transport waste to the plant, as well as $200,000 profit made from waste management fees. So our competition falls into two main categories: electricity producers, which are largely fossil fuels in rural areas, so very unsustainable, and waste management, also unsustainable. Landfills, which are primarily used on farms, can be severely damaging to the environment, and compost, which is the only real alternative, is not very effective. So our business model, essentially, two key value drivers are our waste transportation and our sale of electricity. And then finally, our impact, it benefits the environment by reducing landfills for farmers, and it benefits farmers by making sure they're not damaging their own sources of revenue and providing cheaper waste disposal. It also creates a clean energy source, which is better for the world as a whole. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think we ran out of time for questions, so we're going to go straight to 1 minute for deliberations. Horizon Solar, we are ready for you to turn on your cameras, mics, and share your screen.
Let's see. Okay, can see it, hear me, see me? We're good?
Yep, we can see your presentation. Go ahead.
All right, great. Okay, well, my name's Ben. I'm the business lead here at Horizon, and let me show you what we have. So the opportunity that we've noticed, and it's a fairly obvious one, is that most of electricity generated from the sun is at solar noon, which is between 12 and 2 every day. Unfortunately, most people aren't home at 12 and 2 every day. So Horizon's goal is to push that solar generation out.
Hi, Benjamin. I think you froze. Could you try to mute your mic and your video and unmute and bring your video back? Benjamin, we can still not hear you. Oh, I think he's going to rejoin us in 1 minute. Please remain patient. Hi, Ben. Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah, it completely kicked me off. So sorry.
No problem. Go ahead and continue.
All right. Let's start from here then. Okay. So again, my name's Ben. I'm the business lead here at Horizon, and let me show you what we have. So the opportunity that we're addressing at the moment is that there is a significant amount of over generation of electricity at solar noon, which is between 12 and 2. And that's exactly what we're here at Horizon we're going to address. We're going to push that solar generation more towards the late morning and early evening so that more people can benefit from it, and there's increased grid resiliency as a result. Our direct competition as we see it is with single axis sun tracking. Single axis sun tracking does unfortunately suffer from high cost, both in terms of maintenance and installation, and the equipment all on its own is expensive as well. Our approach here at Horizon, as I mentioned, is to flatten that curve of over generation and push that generation more towards the outside. That'll allow more people to take advantage of the generated electricity while reducing over generation. How we're doing it is with our proprietary lenticular array design that sits on top of the PV, and we can tailor the optical properties, especially the refractive index, to modify the incident angle of light so that we have higher output, and we're expecting between 15 and 30% increase. Now the science is great, but we do need to take a look at the market. The market, as we see it, the beachhead market is going to be about $200 million. And we've arrived at that figure roughly because we've consulted with First Solar and taken a look at their fiscal year 2020 cost of goods sold. And we all agree that that is roughly correct. Now the market is important, but with no avenue to enter it, it's irrelevant. Our primary avenue to viability as we see it is to sell the intellectual property to a manufacturer or solar installer, but the manufacturing option is still open. We just don't have the manufacturing capabilities at the moment to make it happen. Now we do expect that there are 3 potential partners for us: First Solar, Canadian Solar, and LG Solar, but the primary partner that we're targeting right now is First Solar. And that is mostly because they focus on the utility scale applications where we think our value proposition can most be leveraged, which is decreasing that over generation and pushing generation out for more people to utilize it. As we look at our company, we are transitioning from phase 1 into phase 2. Phase 1 is finally closing as we've been able to sign a deal with a solar software provider to validate some of our assumptions and move into the prototyping phase. The traction we've been able to experience has been significant. We do have a letter of support from the Solar Durability and Lifetime Extension Center, which will function as a partner as we do receive funding in the future to help us with material selections and design selections. And we have a pending letter of support from the University of Toledo, their polymer department, to do similar work. We do already have a competition win under our belt with the GLEI grant competition at Case Western. Moving into the industry, we do have a letter of interest from First Solar, and it's been huge for us. We're able to directly consult with First Solar and their manager of R&D, who does really like the idea and wants to see it push forward to see some of the results that we can achieve. In terms of intellectual property rights, we're getting the details figured out for our operating agreement, and we're doing that with the help of the Intellectual Property Venture Clinic here at Case Western. Our funding plans for the future, at least for the next 25,000, is the first 5 will go to the Great Lakes Energy Institute for consultation and connections. And then a large majority of that $25,000, or a rather big chunk of it, is going to go to that research and prototyping phase as we develop our product and get it into the hands of our partners. Finally, Team Horizon is led by Miss Haley Wagrich. She's a materials scientist here at Case Western, and she's been able to put together an excellent team of mechanical engineers, data scientists, and the only lone physicist on the team. I do feel isolated at times. So with that being said, we would love any support on our path to net zero emissions, and I will drop my email in the chat for anyone who'd like to follow up or provide any help they can. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Great job recovering. We're going to have 1 minute now for deliberations. Okay, hot hydrogen, please share your screen.
Okay, so we are Hot Hydrogen. I represent the team and we are from Ohio State, and we are doing photocatalytic water splitting. We've developed an electrospinning technique. So as you may know, photocatalytic water splitting is caused by a redox reaction of water. So it splits water into hydrogen and oxygen, and then hydrogen power can be harnessed from this. So here's a picture of our electrospun mats, and these are nanospun photocatalytic mats, and we've actually developed a high throughput electrospinner that can develop these mats for a lot less money and make these mats a lot more efficient. So our customers would mostly be energy companies, and they would choose our company because we are more efficient, cost effective, and we have reusable mats. And then we also believe that the government would be interested in our product because they are also interested in clean energy. So in order to obtain customers, we want to employ strategies of direct sales to the government and then also partnering with clean energy companies to sell our product. And Flex Energy has actually given us a letter of support for this product. Here are some of our competition. Plug Power and Bloom Power both make hydrogen fuel cells, but these are expensive and there's not really an ability to scale them up. And they're also non-reusable while our mat is reusable. And then also another clean energy that could be competition for us is solar energy, but this is also expensive and inefficient. So as of right now, people are paying about $16.51 per kilogram of hydrogen. And that's equivalent to about a gallon of gas, which is only $3.50. So obviously there's some need to drive the cost of hydrogen down. So our selling price would be about $2 per square foot of photocatalyst, which would drive the price of hydrogen down because the fuel cells would be a lot less expensive than they are now. So our costs, we have about $1 per unit cost. And then we also include other costs such as shipping, labor, warehouse rent, equipment, wages, and selling in our profit analysis. So this is our profit analysis. We expect to make a profit of about $1 million over 5 years. Here's the quote, just explaining the potential impact of our hydrogen product on jobs. So by 2030, the hydrogen economy in the US could support 700,000 total jobs, and by 2050, 3.4 million jobs. So some effects of our product would be a big scale up of hydrogen power. It's reusable, so there's less waste than previous solutions. It's cost effective, easy to use, and it would support the clean energy conversion. So our definition of success, we would like to obtain 20% new customers per year. And for the first few years, at least see a 30% increase in revenue. And then we also are an innovation-driven company, so we want to reserve 20% of our total profits for innovation. Here are some important people and resources. A lot of people from OSU, and then obviously the CEO of Flex Energy, the OSU Technology and Commercialization Office. And then we also seek to have $500,000 invested by the first year of operation. And then it's very important the government push towards clean energy for us to get our product to market. Thank you, and I will now open the floor for questions.
Thank you, and we will wait for questions in the Q&A. How would you study feasibility of your product?
So we plan to use some of this funding to actually study the feasibility of our product. We have done some laboratory studies before, but we are planning to do a more large scale feasibility test. And yeah, this funding would definitely help with that.
Great. Let's see if there are any more questions. Who is your target customer?
So we are planning on being a business to business operation. So we are actually targeting clean energy companies in order to get our product out there. We're not actually trying to make the product ourselves. Like, we're not trying to make full scale hydrogen fuel cells ourselves, but we are trying to help other companies be able to make them.
Okay, great. Now we will have 1 minute for deliberations. Thank you very much. Skibo Energy and Carnegie Mellon University, you may share your screen.
All right, I hope I'm visible.
We can see your screen. You may begin.
All right, perfect. So good afternoon. We're from Carnegie Mellon University in partnership with Skibo Energy, and we're presenting a low-cost, modular thermal energy storage system. Now, our core technology is like this heat pad on your dining table. When the kettle is too hot for the table, the cork soaks it in. Later, you can use it to warm your hands. Now, our thermal energy storage system works and looks similar to this because it's made of bricks. However, it can store heat for days, if not weeks, and pays itself back in 3 years. So we are in the business of heat, and current power plants are inefficient and unable to fully utilize heat. This leads to energy losses, profit losses, and a large share of global greenhouse gas emissions. The recovery of heat for power is a largely untapped and open market, and we believe in heat as a commodity. And our thermal energy storage integration system takes one man's heat waste and makes it another man's treasure. So Skibo Energy's thermal storage technology charges using a high heat patent pending brick configuration that can store heat up to 1,000 degrees Celsius for up to a 250-hour duration. Now, this system integrates with various temperatures and applications, enabling higher temperature discharge and fast ramping capabilities. Our technology is deployed as a waste heat recovery unit or as a heat storage unit for high heat. And this can either be from an industrial manufacturer or a concentrated solar power plant. Our technology then stores the heat for the desired time until it can be used either as process heat, district heat, or to generate electricity. And that is the entire process pipeline. So let's talk about the advantages. It is cost effective with low capital and operating expenditures. We have a long predicted lifespan of over 30 years. It is safe to use and operate during heat transfer, especially because it has no moving parts. It is modular and naturally fits into the supply chain and industrial scale solutions. It's also very efficient in that it minimizes energy losses as well as the carbon footprint. So let's talk about the primary customers first, and then in the near term, and then in the long term. So in the near term, we are targeting industrial heat processes such as steam power plants, open cycle gas, and industrial manufacturers such as steel, aluminum, or chemical plants due to the current need and market opportunities. The Skibo Energy thermal storage system will address volatile prices, difficult decarbonization of industrial waste heat, and the unique needs of large facilities. The system's modular and scalable design also allows for flexibility in deploying as electricity, steam, or heat with a long-term storage option. Now, in the long term, we are interested in pairing this technology with concentrated solar power plants in order to address intermittency, cost, and compatibility gaps. The flexibility of this technology allows it to store heat generated throughout the day to be deployed at different times, depending on grid demand, while reducing energy storage costs by using cheaper materials than the current molten salt systems being used.
So although this product has a large capital investment, it is amortized based on how many times you use it throughout the year, especially since input heat is free. The levelized cost of storage is comparable to the current 2021 prices of the Mid-Atlantic region, which are currently about 133 megawatt hours for the commercial sector and 74.6 megawatt hours for the industrial sector as of November 2021. For our clients, we recommend seasonal opportunities for dispatchable generation. We recommend charging continuously through the winter and discharging during the morning to take advantage of the electricity demand in evening spikes. And for the summer, we recommend using a weekly charging operation to discharge into irregular spikes to maximize revenue. In our research, we found that there are several other markets that would benefit from our technology because its heat capacity, its flexibility for user needs, its material availability and scalability. These markets include cogeneration, the nuclear industry, and electrolyzers for hydrogen, among others. And this is a really exciting time to explore thermal energy storage. Here are some of the other companies who are exploring the thermal energy storage space, but with different technologies, different heat storage materials in different countries, and to different customers. So our technology stands out as a US-based, cheap and basic material system that has the highest capacities for heat, again, targeting up to 1,000 degrees Celsius for short or long duration. And it is important to us that we start local and optimize the climate conscious supply chain that employs local workforce, uses local resources, and helps local industry. This includes decarbonizing our manufacturing, contributing to high quality jobs for the energy transition, and working with valuable local businesses that would benefit from this technology. Once we can serve our community, then we can expand scaling our system internationally to various markets. Success for our technology is three-pronged. First, implementing a large-scale project demo in Pittsburgh as a case study for other industry partners. Second, building relationships with industry partners through the life cycle from manufacturing through our several market options. And third, winning upcoming SBIR grants targeting industrial waste heat, CSP integration, or heat storage to continue to grow the technology. So on behalf of our team, we would like to thank you, and we're open to any questions.
Thank you very much. The first question is, who would you like your first customer to be?
I can take this one. A customer that we have thought about a lot is US Steel in Pittsburgh. And the reason for that is one, we've worked with them a little bit as a research partner in several labs at CMU. So knowing a little bit about their needs as a company that is trying to transition into decarbonizing a lot of their very difficult to decarbonize and carbon intensive processes. We also think that because of our locality in Pittsburgh, it would be really useful to work with a company that's such a staple of the Pittsburgh manufacturing community.
I would also like to add to that. So there was a recent case study of a similar but different technology in Masdar and Abu Dhabi, and it showed 20% IRR, and it paid itself back in 4 years. So we're very excited about this.
Okay, thank you very much. That's our time for questions, and we'll have 1 minute for deliberations.
Thank you.
We're going to give our judges an extra couple of seconds to catch up in deliberations, so we'll be back with you momentarily. Okay, Pittsburgh Power Lab, you are up.
Hi, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. You may begin.
All right, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Luke O'Brien, representing the Pittsburgh Power Lab at the University of Pittsburgh. And today I'll be presenting our product, the RIBS, which stands for Residential Intelligent Breaker System. As we move towards a grid with more solar power and wind power, we must better match the supply and demand of electricity on a grid level while also fixing the inefficient energy usage. Our solution, RIBS, works on a residential level to start tackling this problem. Our breakers to be installed in home electrical panels track real-time prices and user behavior to cut electricity costs and to help close the discrepancy between supply and demand. Our switches would be compatible with existing home electrical panels and act as a replacement for existing circuit breaker switches. The system will turn off breakers for large appliances when not in use, as well as help consumers change their consumption behavior. Our system will become ever more important as residential energy usage skyrockets with the increasing usage of electric vehicles. The average household spends $1,400 a year on their electricity bill. Homeowners looking to cut electricity bills and create a greener footprint would be one of our major target demographics. Another one key demographic will be home builders, with more than 900,000 new homes being built each year. While breakers now are a commodity, we see that changing as we move towards more and more integrated homes and systems. While there are existing ways for homeowners to track their usage, there are primarily external add-ons that are too expensive to justify their cost. RIBs will fill the need consumers have for lower cost energy bills and help the grid transition to more sustainable energy sources. Now, what might customers be willing to pay? With anticipated cost savings of $500 a year for average households, with savings stemming from decreased energy usage, as well as usage of energy when prices are cheaper, we predict that consumers will be more than willing to pay for our breakers, as most will be paying for new circuit breaker switches regardless. We estimate that we could sell RIBs for $20 a piece, leaving us with $8 of profit per switch, including both fixed and variable costs. Households on average would spend $400 on our switches, leaving each consumer with $100 in cost savings in their first year, and $500 in savings for every year thereafter. If our business succeeds, homeowners will benefit by saving money on their energy usage, while the grid is stabilized and the energy demand curve is flattened. This will help disadvantaged groups lower the amount of money they spend on energy bills and help them increase their disposable income. By flattening the energy demand curve, RIBs will help the transition to renewable energy sources, which have less consistent power production. By matching supply to demand, our grid will need less batteries and non-renewable energy sources. For us, success is a profitable business that supports the transition to renewables while helping save consumers money. While a more specific goal would be to have 10,000 homes in 5 years. To put our plan into action, we need funds to further develop and test our technology, as well as the support and partnership of utility providers and electricians who will be pivotal in maximizing our reach. With the introduction of real-time pricing by electricity providers, we can further expand our impact, while electricians can help us increase consumer awareness around our product. With this help, RIBs can contribute to a greener world. While RIBs will not be able to do this alone, it is a piece of the puzzle to bring us towards a brighter future. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. The first question is, what is the long-term milestone after 10,000 homes in 5 years?
So ultimately, we would love to be in every home across America, but normal homeowners aren't going to replace their breakers every year. Typically, you have to replace breakers every 20 years or so. So it would be to be in at least half of homes, 139 million homes in the US. So about 70 million homes in 20 years.
The next question is, who is your target customer?
So ultimately it's homeowners, but obviously, as I mentioned earlier, electricians are ultimately the one putting in these breakers for the most part, with some exceptions. So we would love to have really good relationships with electricians so they can recommend it to our end consumer.
Okay, thank you very much. We will now have time for deliberations for the judges. We are going to take a 5-minute break to let the judges catch up in their forms. I will announce when we will start back up in 5 minutes. Thank you very much. While we are on this break, if panelists, meaning the different team members, would like to take the impact evaluation about the entire Energy Tech Up competition, the link is in the Q&A. We will be sharing this link again at the final deliberation of judges before we announce the winners. So if you are not able to do it right now, you'll have some time around 3:20, 3:25 to also take the impact survey. Okay, our break is over. Vision Energy Orchid, could you please share your screen and begin your presentation?
Hello, my name is Andrew Hitcho, and I have with me today my business partner,
Terry Goolsby.
And we are representing the University of Maryland College Park. So basically the biggest problem we found is, and through our research and past competitions, like the University of Maryland Energy Innovation Institute, is that climate change and heat stress specifically. So this right here is a climate change projection for the year 2070. And as you can see along the equator, there's going to be the highest vulnerability for heat stress and temperature increases. And countries along those areas are approximately low income, low socioeconomic status, and already at an extreme disadvantage. And basically by 2070, there's going to be 67 cities with unprecedented climates like nowhere else on Earth. Okay, and so currently there's about a $900 million a year loss due to heat stress in lactating bovines or dairy cows. And this can be equated to about a loss of $337 a day per cow. And the death of a cow can cost a farmer approximately $2,500 per cow, which totals to about $900 million a year current loss. Okay, and so what we found from our research is that the thermal neutral zone for dairy cows is approximately somewhere between 50 and 60. And all of these other livestock correspond, like have an average thermal neutral zone of about 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the same average ground temperature on Earth. And what our technology does is it utilizes the 55-degree average ground temperature of Earth when you dig 10 to 15 feet below Earth. And yeah. And so our competition, basically our sole competition is fossil fueled electrified air conditioning systems, which represents 20 to 40% of the US power consumption. And this vicious cycle that is currently going on to cool these extremely high temperatures in the future is going to only promote the cycle. So if you're having fossil fuel powered AC systems that are trying to cool at temperatures of like 120 degrees, which they were in British Columbia this past summer, and if you just keep having fossil fuels try and cool that using their technology to cool, it's only going to get worse, exponentially worse in the next 20 to 50 years. So our targeted market of who will buy is, I'll let Terry take over.
So we see that the United States Department of Agriculture indemnifies milk production, and there are insurance companies worldwide. This one from France, SCORE, has connected with other technology that monitors 300,000 cows in Europe, and then lowers insurance premiums based on behavior. How farmers introduce technology that can avoid heat stress. So again, not only USDA, but dairy insurers will partner with Vision Energy to deploy our heat stress relief technology. And insurance companies will require farmers to lower their premiums by using this technology. The USDA indemnifies diminished milk productivity already. There's statistics that show that they can indemnify $15,000 for a herd of 37 cows. And what they're testing for is to see that whether the cows are producing their butterfat quality and their protein quality. And based on these, they would be inclined to force or encourage use of our technology. So our operations roadmap is we've already connected with the University of Maryland Dairy Research Extension for a farm in Clarksville, Maryland. They've invited us to engage in an alpha test, and that's after that we'll probably go to the Beltsville research. So the design is in the below, there's 10 feet below the ground. There'll be HDPE circled for a horizontal closed loop geothermal system. And so the HDPE will come up out of the ground and go into the barn and come into the barn where there will be a pump that will pump the water. There'll be a thermostat because the system only needs to come on after 70 degrees when it gets higher than 70 degrees. And there'll be a valve to turn it off and on, so it won't be running during the winter. It'll go up to a valve where it connects up with copper piping in the rafters. There'll be fans that blow the just air over the 55-degree copper. And as it gets hotter and hotter, as it flows through, the warmed water will go back down into the ground to be reheated with 55 degrees. So this is we'd be digging 10 to 15 feet below ground. On rural, there's lots of horizontal land to be done. We'll use a backhoe at $250 to $5 a square foot. The HDPE tubing and the cooling coils will cost about $10,000, and we need to design a fan for it. These are some sources for the.
Hello. Hi, Terry and Andrew. Your 5 minutes are up, so we are going to ask for questions now.
Thank you.
The first question is, what about the use of technology with other animal farms? Why only cows?
So basically we chose dairy cows because we can put an economic value. Like we know how much farmers are losing out on in regards to dairy cows, but certainly in the future, this right now is our specific targeted market that we want to go after. And we believe our technology will be disruptive in this market. We project exponential growth in regards to dairy, and after dairy, other livestock, and then in the future, humans.
Okay, we only had time for one question, so now we will have 1 minute for deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Lehigh ESC team, please share your screen and present.
Hi, we're from Lehigh University and our product is the rooftop solar re-rack. Our proposal aims to provide a lightweight rooftop solar alternative for flat roof buildings that lack the structural integrity to support traditional rooftop solar. Pictured to the left is a traditional rooftop solar system for flat roofs with a silicon panel, an aluminum rack, and concrete ballast weights. These systems add significant structural load to a rooftop, in some cases so much that cost-prohibitive structural retrofits are needed to accommodate the system. Pictured to the right is thin film solar, the only commercially available lightweight option. For rooftop installation, thin film modules are adhered directly to the roof membrane at a 0-degree tilt, therefore not maximizing energy generation. The solar re-rack utilizes a traditional rack design to create a lightweight system with maximum energy generation. This entails replacing silicon PV panels with thin film modules, redesigning the rack with recycled polyethylene terephthalate, PET, and replacing ballast weights with an adhesive footing.
With growing pressure from stakeholders to invest in and implement more sustainable business practices, companies are seeking to reduce their carbon emissions while maintaining their bottom line. As of 2018, warehouses were the most common type of commercial building, and their flat roofs with significant square footage make them perfect candidates for rooftop solar arrays to offset high electricity bills. Several states have already realized this potential, as New Jersey passed a law in November mandating that all new warehouses exceeding 100,000 square feet be constructed solar ready, reserving at least 40% of their rooftops for solar systems. However, these mandates neglect the potential for carbon reduction held by existing warehouses. Older warehouses often do not have the structural capacity necessary to bear the added dead and live loads of conventional solar panels. The added time and cost invested in a structural retrofit extends the ROI for a rooftop solar system, often deterring otherwise prime candidates. Our lightweight racking system, combined with thin film solar panels, will eliminate the need for a structural retrofit and make solar rooftops more feasible investments. The potential savings on electricity bills, emissions reduction, and positive publicity associated with conventional rooftop solar will become available to a viable and valuable market sector.
To be competitive on the market, our product must fall below the combined cost of a traditional rooftop solar system and structural retrofit. This is feasible with our design. Using recycled PET will save on material and manufacturing costs. Aluminum prices are currently at a 13-year high, and aluminum requires expensive skilled labor for fabrication. Recycled PET is a more cost-effective material, and production can be streamlined using plastic molding. Thin film is generally more expensive than silicon PV modules, but our design will utilize large area modules to reduce cost. Pictured is a figure from an NREL study of thin film manufacturing cost, represented by the bars as a function of module area, represented by the line. This work concluded that manufacturing costs significantly decrease with increasing module area. Our product must also be competitive with directly attached thin film systems. The solar re-rack will have a higher upfront cost as our system requires additional materials in forms of racks and adhesive footings. The difference is our system is optimized for maximum generation. The same NREL study found that generation performance increases with module area. Large area thin film modules configured at the optimal tilt angle will outperform directly attached thin film systems. We expect the solar re-rack to have a competitive payback period and greater lifetime energy generation.
In the US, there exists 10.3 billion square feet of warehouse rooftops, which is equivalent to the ground area of 16 Manhattans. This space can be used to maintain green spaces instead of installing ground-mounted solar panels on valuable real estate. Utilizing only 20% of available rooftop space on warehouses, we calculated that 275 terawatt hours can be generated per year, which is equivalent to 7% of US electrical generation. Additionally, most warehouses are over 40 feet tall. Therefore, solar panels on top of warehouses will avoid shading losses from nearby trees and buildings.
Our business plan defines success as taking advantage of as much unused roof space around the country as possible. We will do this by using a lightweight solar system that provides a cost-effective solution for structurally deficient flat roof buildings. By using resources such as NREL's System Advisory Model and Helioscope, we will perform cost-benefit analyses and model the thin film system so that the warehouse owner can have a knowledgeable understanding of how we're helping them. By replacing the typical ballast system of rooftop solar with our adhesive racking system, we plan to partner with a thin film manufacturer and implement our product around the country. Thank you, and we will now be taking any questions.
Great. As we get a question in the Q&A, we will read them to you. Judges, oh great. Who is your target audience?
So we're designing this for all flat roof buildings, but definitely our target audience are warehouses. With the expansion of e-commerce, we see a great increase in warehouses across the country, and we think that this is a great location for our product.
How will you generate revenue? Sorry, I think I was on mute. How will you generate revenue?
Yeah, so we're still working on creating our cost analysis of our system. We're currently working with Sam and Helioscope to benchmark our costs and working with thin film manufacturers to determine what the cost of our large area modules will be. So at the moment, we're unsure of what our revenue stream will be or the percentage of that at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll have 1 minute for judge deliberations. Radical Energy and Materials, we are ready for you to share your screen.
All right, can you guys see everything on your end?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Hi, my name is Colin Smith. I represent Radical Energies and Materials, and I also represent Penn State University. And today I'm here to talk to you about two things: nuclear heat exchangers and brine treatment. So let's start with the technology, the magic behind the process. Our project revolves around the use of an INL-developed technology, which utilizes DME, dimethyl ether, to remove solutes from waste brine water and extract it as softened water and hardness, which can then be resold. We, of course, plan to use heat exchangers from nuclear reactors to provide power for this process. So looking at the market, looking first at our strengths, we, of course, have the advantage of using only waste on our input end. We're only using brine, which is leftover waste from gas and oil operations. And of course, we're using waste heat from nuclear reactors. And on the output end, we're outputting useful materials like processed water, and brine. Of course, we're not the only people trying to get a piece of that sweet, sweet nuclear heat. We're also looking at facing off against competitors who are looking to use nuclear heat for hydrogen production and public wastewater treatment. So we have to beat those guys in order to be able to deploy this economically. In terms of the economics of this ideas itself, we first look at the cost range of nuclear power plants. And for heat exchangers, this number usually runs between 100 and 200 million. This number can vary drastically though, based on the power demand of the reactor itself. And then of course, the number to really pay attention to is the current best management strategy for brine, which is deep well injection. This is by far the cheapest method. For a 30 million gallon per day operation, you're looking at about $50 million. So this includes capital with 1 year of operating costs. So when we looked at deploying our own method, we used a conservative estimate and we came out to about $28 million of costs in the first year. Now, the really cool part about this is that this does not factor in the price of, or the cost recovered from reselling processed water. If we resell our processed water at 1/10 of a cent per gallon at a rate of 30 million gallons per day for a whole year, we can generate about $10 million in revenue, pushing us down to a little under $20 million. So this is a huge difference from our $50 million initial best management. In terms of potential impact from this operation, we of course have benefits on both ends for both nuclear and oil and gas, as both industries will experience higher profitability for more efficient processes. On the environmental end of things, ecosystems that are usually affected by waste heat discharges from nuclear reactors will now be less affected due to lower output temperatures. And of course, brine from deep storage that normally seeps up into farmland will now be less affected from the salts within the brine. In the social end of things, we also, of course, have the benefit of having nuclear and oil and gas be seen as more clean energies as we move towards a greener economy. And at the socioeconomic end of things, we also see improved access to drinking water for people of all socioeconomic statuses. So what does success look like for REM? We decided to illustrate this with a really simple timeline. You can see we start in 2022, where we initially apply for our patents on this design and get our first round of funding. And we end around 2031, where we come up with newer, hopefully more efficient designs and plan to implement this, if successful, to power plants beyond just the nuclear industry. So bringing it all together, in terms of long-term success, what we do in order to collaborate successfully is get our designs approved by various regulatory institutions, such as the NRC or the ASME. We'll also have to, of course, collaborate closely with national labs, INL being the most important because they were the ones who originally designed this process. And we'll need close collaboration with nuclear power plants and the brine producers. So this would be most oil and gas drilling companies themselves in order to ensure a steady balance of supply and demand. These are my sources. Are there any questions at this time?
Thank you very much. The first question is, have you considered the cost and risks of transporting the brine to the reactors or heat exchangers?
We have not calculated the risk for that. Of course, the brine itself, before it's transported to the reactor, shouldn't really exceed the cost of transportation of normal water. Brine itself is comprised mostly of just leftovers from the oil and gas drilling process, and of course, any kind of salts themselves, which is mostly sodium chloride.
What will be the core role of your company? Design only, installation, or service?
Our company's core role will probably mostly look like design, but we'll also probably be providing ourselves as a kind of consulting service to ensure a smooth operation of the heat exchange system itself.
What is the general scope of your patents?
As for the general scope of the patent, I would say it would probably be looking at the upgrade to the heat exchange system itself. Obviously, the process you see here is property of the national lab. So we wouldn't be looking at the process, but more so a system that implements this process that can be retrofitted to existing reactor operations.
Thank you very much. We will now have 1 minute for deliberations. Lignolix, we are ready for you to share your screen. Go ahead.
Hey everyone, I'm Robert O'Day. I'm the CTO of Lignolix, and we're upcycling lignin waste to specialty chemicals. So the opportunity we're looking at today is personal care ingredients, specifically a consumer-driven trend towards clean beauty. So that is a recent trend basically towards ingredients with no known or suspected health impacts, labels with fewer and more recognizable ingredients, as well as just more sustainable products in general. So large brands and retailers are really getting behind this push, which leaves a huge opportunity for us. And specifically, we're looking at the natural preservative space. So the total market is about $1 billion. And specifically in the clean beauty space, the compound annual growth rate's around 12%, which is really exciting. So this sort of meets an intersection of where consumers want safe natural preservatives, but the manufacturers want effective and cost competitive ingredients to replace what they're already using from petrochemicals. So this is also compounded by the fact that regulations are sort of ramping up towards these preservatives and other ingredients, so natural alternatives are needed. So at Lignolix, we're using lignin as basically our main ingredient here. So lignin's sort of the glue that holds plants together, and it accounts for about 20% or so by weight of, for example, a tree. And it's separated in pulp mills in the production of paper, cardboard, and other products at about 100 million tons annually. Almost all of that's just burned, but lignin does have some really appealing features. So it's inherently antimicrobial, it's a potent antioxidant, as well as a UV absorber. So with all of this lignin and its really attractive features, it's an enormous opportunity, but as you can see from that photo, lignin can be really challenging to work with. And so this is where Lignolix really comes in. We've developed a patent pending process to break down lignin to its building blocks, which can be used as platform chemicals and materials. And so key advantages of our technology over existing ways to break down lignin are that it's safer, simpler chemical separations, and improved process economics. And it's also easy to integrate with existing pulping infrastructure, and it's really easy to scale up. So for our go-to-market strategy, we're looking to partner with lignin waste producers, for example, pulp mills, and upgrade their waste streams into natural preservatives, or more generally, high-value, low-volume specialty chemicals. So on the bottom here, you can see photos of our actual products. So the left is a powdered form, and on the right is an oil. And these can be formulated into different types of products. So looking at us versus the competition, Lignolix really checks off a lot of the boxes that both consumers and our customers that are the manufacturers of the products actually want. For example, it's naturally sourced. It's from a sustainable and scalable feedstock. It's multifunctional, clean label friendly, as well as easy to formulate, and most importantly, it's affordable. So compared to other natural ingredients in the preservative space, which can go for anywhere from $35 to over $100 a kilogram, Lignolix can really sit in the middle between, for example, parabens, which can sell for $1 or $2 a kg, and these natural extracts, and provide our customers with what they're really looking for. So as far as traction goes, we started in 2019. We did the I-Core Sites program at the University of Delaware, and then also the National Teams program. We've conducted over 150 customer interviews. Since then, we've been developing a lot of partnerships, providing samples, doing performance testing. And then most recently, we've gotten a $2.5 million grant from the Department of Energy that partners us with Dynamic Extractions and NREL, working on scalable separations technologies. So to date, we've got about $3 million in non-dilutive funding. Last year, we had about $40,000 in revenue. And for 2022, we're projecting about $100,000. So I'll briefly introduce the team. So Eric Gottlieb's our CEO. He also has a PhD in chemistry from Carnegie Mellon. I'm Robert, I'm the CTO. I'm a fifth-year graduate student getting a PhD in chemical engineering at the University of Delaware. Christina Pelikanes, our COO. She's the Assistant Director of Innovation at Princeton University, as well as an I-Core instructor. And then we have Professor Thomas Epps, who's a professor of chemical and biomolecular engineering at the University of Delaware. He has a lot of experience in lignin valorization, especially in the realm of sustainable materials. And so with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. We'll wait to get questions in the Q&A. Okay, any major concerns or reservations expressed in customer interviews? If this is a no-brainer, why hasn't this been done?
I think the main thing is that lignin's been so challenging to upgrade over the years that it hasn't been done because the supply of the chemicals hasn't been there. So all these chemicals that we're producing from lignin are already they have what's called GRAS status, so generally recognized as safe. So we can actually use these in these applications already, and they're known to be safe.
Great. Sorry. Okay. We will have 1 minute for judge deliberations. Thai Solar Solutions, we're ready for you to share your screen. You can go ahead. Hi, Aishwarya. We can't hear you. Is there any way you can talk closer to the computer? I know you're not on mute.
You might want to check which mic is selected in Zoom because it sounds like we're getting some feedback from a bad mic connection.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes,
Now
we
we can.
can.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, wait, can we step backwards and see? Can you still hear us now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So meet Kenny, a 35-year-old homeowner in Connecticut, and he currently has $90,000 in debt from his mortgage, car, and credit card bills. His house is 40 years old, and he's concerned that his roof is in need of replacement. He calls 10 local roofing companies and finds out that they only accept being paid upfront through cash or loan. He panics because his roof is creaking and old, but just cannot take on any more debt. At last, he gives in because he wants to make sure that his roof doesn't collapse and his kids are safe. Unfortunately, his debt has just ballooned to nearly $100,000. At Teisel, we believe this is a problem, and our solution not only solves this, but also makes the planet better. In short, the problem statement is that rising debt is a barrier to customers financing roof replacements. The pain points specifically are that paying upfront through cash or loan financing hurts indebted homeowners, and also our target customers have little access to solar technology traditionally. Lastly, maintaining roofs is oftentimes inconvenient. To solve these problems, we are aiming towards two primary customer segments. The first is moderate to middle income homeowners with higher credit ratings in states with the highest electricity bills, such as the Northeast US. Secondarily, we're targeting low income homeowners with the same characteristics. In short, at Teisel, we help customers replace their roofs using solar with no debt and an unnoticeable cost. We do this by first, customers seeking to replace their roof. Then we do project development and installation at no upfront cost. Then we enter an operating leasing contract with them such that they pay an amount that's approximately equal to the amount that they earn through savings. Lastly, because this is an operating lease agreement, we own the asset and we provide the maintenance coverage.
Teisel leverages solar roof shingles as our technology. Now this acts as a roof and electricity generator, similar to how solar panels work. Now this is capable of generating 1,000 kilowatts per month, meeting most electricity demands. Now we use sensors and data analytics for predictive maintenance. Customers pay $220 per month as part of our lease, mainly in Northeast US, and can afford our rates for 15 years where we own the roof. Now, this is very, very affordable in comparison to current electricity bills, and our offering is in fact generally cheaper than those. So typical consumers immediately save $8,000 and $5,000 over 15 years. So we have a 46% gross margin. So what differentiates us from our competitors? We adopt a leasing business model that ensures consumers don't accumulate any more debt. Secondly, we have specialized consumer centricity around moderate middle income consumers. Current prominent brands in the space do not provide services for these populations. Our competitors, such as Gas and Tesla, mainly target high-income consumers, and therefore rely on their consumers to finance roof replacement. So in addition to what I mentioned before, we believe that our relationship with utility companies and project finance banks will enable us to succeed in this space. So why have we adopted a leasing business model? Number one, we will be able to manage consumer debt. Secondly, we will be able to mitigate risks for consumers. Let's say a consumer is no longer able to pay their lease due to financial strain or any unexpected circumstances. Teisel can then direct the electricity generated by the roof to the grid to generate profit. And lastly, the leasing model also aligns incentives. In terms of how we anticipate that we will succeed in this business, we think there are a few key factors. Number one, we have strong brand loyalty for middle income consumers, and we also have a high profit margin of 46% per installment. Thus, our company is able to implement sustainability and circular economy principles, reduce potential future debt burdens of low income and minority communities, create local blue-collar jobs, and also reemploy displaced workers from legacy energy systems. Our team consists of undergrad students from the Jerome Fisher Management Technology program at the University of Pennsylvania, which is a dual degree program between Wharton and engineering. And our team background includes experience with project finance, sustainability research. We have a lead green associate professional and an international green build conference speaker. So with your investment, we will be able to save we'll be able to help millions of marginalized consumers on roof costs and electricity bills, one shingle at a time. Thank you so much for listening.
Okay, we will now take questions from the judges. How many roofs do you need to become cash flow positive? Any concern about upfront costs to the company, which you won't regain until after installation and overtime?
So currently, we structure our financials such that the gross margin is always is 46, which means that with each installation, we are making a profit. And then we can then do further calculations to determine the total number of installations that need to be done. But we anticipate this to be lower considering our gross profit margins are high.
Thank you. We only had time for one question, and we'll have 1 minute for deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, during the transition, would you be able to make William Newcomb a presenter as well, please?
Yes, 1 second.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have the team Nittany Lions. And just a heads up, after this team is done, we will have a couple announcements before the break for the final deliberations. So please stick around until I give announcements. Okay, please go ahead and share your screen, Nittany Lions.
Okay, so our goal for this project was to innovate Pennsylvania's energy sector using chemical looping combustion and geologic carbon sequestration from the National Risk Assessment Partnership. So with climate change becoming a growing issue, the clear way forward is to reduce CO2 emissions. In 2019, Pennsylvania was in the top 5 states with the highest CO2 emissions. And in 2020, 66 power plants reported a total emissions of 72 million tons of CO2. Moving forward, Pennsylvania has started to join the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative to help cap these emissions, but so far no power plants are using carbon sequestration to meet these goals.
So for our technology, we plan to target power plants in Pennsylvania that are located close to orphaned and abandoned wells that penetrate the Oriskany Formation, which underlies the Marcellus Shale. This formation has a widespread distribution in Pennsylvania, favorable porosity and permeability characteristics, as well as a favorable depth that make it a suitable target for sequestration. Then using the EPA flight tool and an interactive map that shows orphan and abandoned wells in PA, we were able to narrow down a couple of power plants that we believe will be best served by our technology. These power plants and their emissions in 2020 are shown on the slide. And in the next slides, we shall begin to dive deeper into our technology.
So with the availability of all these abandoned wells that could be optimized for carbon neutral energy production, along with geologic carbon sequestration, we have identified a combination of two technologies: the chemical looping tool, which is a technology that utilizes fossil and renewable fuels to produce energy. This technology, as you can see in the next slide, with this technology, we can produce CO2, which is in its pure form and readily available to be sequestered without any additional investment. This technology, combined with the NRAP tool, which is a risk management software that runs simulations across the well area to detect future risks such as leaks, to avoid any financial losses in the present and in the future. These two combined can have the potential to minimize the expense and energy penalty for CO2 capture for power plants looking to store and sequester carbon.
So we have described this technology, but the next big question is its economic feasibility. The first way chemical looping is cost effective is through 45Q tax credits, which is government subsidies for sequestering carbon. Furthermore, Pennsylvania is located within the Marcellus Shale region, so a large supply of low-cost natural gas is readily available as a fuel source for this technology. Another way in which we plan on cutting down on costs is by utilizing components from the current natural gas facilities in PA as these new chemical looping facilities are being constructed. Lastly, as mentioned earlier, we plan on repurposing abandoned and orphan wells to lower sequestration costs.
As far as the potential impacts go, chemical looping and carbon sequestration has great potential to revolutionize Pennsylvania's energy sector. Especially if proven profitable, our technology will gain a lot of traction nationwide. And when it comes to incentives, we make net zero carbon emissions a reality. And in addition to the job opportunities that we will create, there are also many financial opportunities for profit. Moving into the universalization of our technology, chemical looping and sequestration is a readily available technology, and it is also highly versatile as it works with almost any fuel source. Lastly, successful and profitable implementation will revolutionize the energy transition movement.
As for the business plan, this technology will be interesting to energy sector facilities working towards clean energy. There's high potential of interest increasing from government, which will increase the tax credits. This technology will require buying rights to abandoned and orphaned wells to store the carbon, which can be further split between facilities. Also, it will require construction of chemical looping facilities, pipelines, and compressors in order to sequester carbon safely. Our success will be mainly quantified on profit in addition with volume of carbon dioxide sequestered. Also, another interest from facilities is that this technology will put in work abandoned wells with the depleted reservoirs, as sequestered carbon will increase production rates.
So one company that began doing chemical looping reported energy costs of around $90 per megawatt hour. Traditional natural gas energy has production costs around $40 to upwards of high $70 per megawatt hour. So chemical looping definitely still has it costs a little bit more, but there's several ways in which we plan on lowering it. The first is through carbon sequestration. So it costs around $12 a ton to sequester carbon using CLC technology, but from government credits, you get around $27 per ton back. So right there, you get a little bit of profit. And it's also worth noting that you can cut down on the cost of sequestering this carbon by pairing up with other power plants. For instance, you could invest in one pipeline instead of having to all buy individual ones. Lastly, until this technology becomes more implemented and available, we can lower costs by using cap and trade model to sell carbon credits to other power plants. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. The first question is, what is your primary product and primary revenue model?
Yeah. So for the revenue, we're looking at mainly, obviously the goal of this project is to have, this is a clean way to improve natural gas production in Pennsylvania. So really we're just trying to meet, break even at first until this becomes more implemented. And so the way we're going to be making that up is, as stated before, you get the tax credits back, and also selling these carbon credits just as a meantime until we can farther lower the costs, just overall.
And then there's also just the electricity production from the power plant itself. And being that chemical looping is it has a higher energy output, it would also increase the energy efficiency as well.
Okay, that's all the time we have for questions. Thank you very much. And I will move to announcements in one moment. We are now going to take a short break for judge deliberations. I want to remind the teams to please fill out the impact questionnaire about the EnergyTech Up competition. There is currently a QR code on your screen, or anyone who is a panelist within the webinar will be able to see a link in the chat. The survey should take you about, the survey should take you about 5 minutes, and we do ask that you complete it during this break for the final judge deliberations. And we would like to invite everybody to join us next month for the EnergyTech Up National Pitch Finals on March 24th at 11 a.m. Carnegie Mellon is going to be hosting this during our Energy Week. It will be virtual. You'll get to see the winner of today's competition along with 10 other winners from the regional competitions and the 6 semifinalists chosen for the technology specific prizes. We are very excited for next month's competition, and we want to wish everyone a huge congratulations on presenting today. And we will be back in probably about 20 minutes to announce the winner. And please take a break, fill out the survey, and we will come back on to this Zoom to announce the winner when the deliberations are through.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the 6 category winners. So what this means is there's a main winner, which is going on to be the sort of like against all of the other regions. So we have the main winner, and then we have 6 individual category winners. So the category winners are going to go against other folks in the categories from the other regions. So for example, if you're picked in building tech, there are 11 other teams being picked in building tech, and that office is going to be making a decision about additional funding opportunities for you. So Caitlin, let me ask you, would you like me to do the grand winner, or would you like me to do the 6 winners first? How would you like me to handle that?
Why don't you announce the 6 technology semifinalist nominations first?
Great. So does everybody understand what this means? So you have in the categories that you designated for yourself, you have been, we've selected teams for each of those categories, which will be going in that subcategory against other teams from other regions in that subcategory. So we are going to do the main winner last, and these are the we've called them semifinalists, but you're really a technology finalist in the Mid-Atlantic region. Okay, so is everybody ready? So in building tech, so the building tech subcategory, the winner is Vision Energy. So Vision Energy, you all are the winners in building tech. So congratulations to that team. Thank you for all the claps. I like it. All right, in the geothermal technology category, so geothermal. So you self-identified as geothermal. The winner is Electromame. So Electromame, do you have your cameras on? Where's Electromame? Okay, so there you are. Congratulations, Electromame. So you'll be moving on. Again, the competition goes through that office, and they have additional funding streams very specific to your technology. You'll still receive coaching and all that sort of thing, but just wanted to let you know. All right, so the next category is fossil energy and carbon management. And the winner in that category is Flow Solutions. So Flow Solutions is going to be in that category. Raise your hand, Flow Solutions. Where is Flow Solutions? There you are, Becca. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. In the next category for nuclear energy, the winner is Radical Energy and Materials. So Radical Energy and Materials. Is that you, Coleman? Are you the winner there? Wait.
Correct.
That's you. Okay. Congratulations to Radical Energy and Materials. So in the solar energy technology category, the winner is Skibo, Team Skibo. So are you all here, Team Skibo? Congratulations, Alex and team on Team Skibo. And I'd like to make a quick note here before we get to our last two things. So Tala would like to be added as a panelist. She presented earlier. I think she just wants to be able to be on video.
Got it.
So we have, before I get to the final team and then the overall winner, I do want to thank Cody, who was on our team, who helped calculate all of these. And a special thank you, cameras on, to Kristen and Caitlin, who were awesome and ran everything that we did today. So Kristen and Caitlin.
To also add Pratit, who has been tabulating all the scores.
Yeah, so thank you to everyone on our team. Thank you, thank you. All right, so in the technology category of water power technology, the winner is hot hydrogen. Hot hydrogen, are you here? Great. So Ellie, you're here. Congratulations, hot hydrogen. So then,
Anna,
yes.
Before you make the final announcement, I just wanted to make a clarification.
Yes.
For the 6 technology semifinalists that were just announced, the Office of Technology Transitions, correct, will be contacting you to let you know if you have been chosen as the finalist in that category to go to the finals. So they will be reviewing your presentations. We did record the webinar, so they will be reaching out to let you know if you will be competing on March 24th next month.
Right, but you will be, your videos and your presentation will be against other people selected for that technology category. So I did have that part correct. Okay, good. Thank you, Caitlin. All right, and so our overall winner for today, our overall winner is Ligonex. I think I said it incorrectly. Ligonex. Are you here? So congratulations, Robert. I think that is yours. So congratulations, you are the overall winner. You will be competing against the other teams that are coming in from all of the different regions. So once again, congratulations to that team, to all of you for your presentations today. A spectacular day. I hope that everyone filled out the form. Is there anyone who has not yet filled out the form? Everybody gave your feedback on the overarching competition. Super important that they get all of our feedback. And with that, Caitlin, I'd like to pass it off to you to see if there are any other housekeeping items or things that we need to cover today.
There are not. Thank you very much for presenting today, and congratulations.
So congratulations to everyone. Thank you so much. Spectacular job. Thank you. Have a great evening, everybody.